Namaskar. Welcome to this summary session of the third Adhyaya of Sri Bhagavad Geeta. We start with the gratitude towards the Lord, with whose grace everything is possible. We pray to this Guru Shishya Parampara, the lineage through which this knowledge is transmitted, to reach us. I pay my respects to my Guruji, Pujya Guruma, with whose grace I am able to learn the scriptures and share this understanding with you. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So third Adhyaya, as you know, is the Karmayoga. First, let us understand what is not Karmayoga. What we keep on doing in our life, all our actions, our work, is definitely not Karmayoga. Just keeping on doing karma. Karma, the word itself means Shastriya karma. All the nimitta karma, naimittika, the nitya karmas, or the prayashchitta karma, all the different types of karmas that have been described in our Shastras is said as doing karma. But loosely translated, work we can say is karma, but this is definitely not Karma Yoga. So Karma Yoga is the skill in doing some actions and its results, and this skill is not just the outer skill that Bhagavan is talking, it is the inner skill, it is a skill, it is a kind of attitude of our mind, and that's why when we say that we have to start doing Karma Yoga, it does not mean that we have to change our karma. We don't have to change our outside karma, because it's not about what we are doing, it's about how we are doing, with what attitude we are doing those karmas. So that's why when we say that we have to start doing Karma Yoga or practice Karma Yoga, means we need to change our attitude towards one, karma, the actions or the work that we do, and two, karma phala, the fruits or the results or the outcomes of the actions that we get. And this is the first step in the spiritual journey, and that's why Bhagavan, after talking about Gnana in the second Adhyaya, is talking about Karma Yoga in the third Adhyaya, because this is the best way for us to liberate ourselves from karma and to achieve the knowledge. So a person who keeps on working, who is a workaholic, he keeps doing work from morning till evening, is called a karmi. He is not a karma yogi. And this person, many of us do this for our own desires, to fulfill our own ambitions, desires, and this is definitely what is, or maybe we can say for our family, we can say, but it's essentially our own desires, sakham karma. Whereas what we need to do, Bhagavan is telling us to do Karma Yoga, to become a Karma Yogi, and this essentially means doing more, going towards Nishkam Karma. In one sentence, if we want to define Karma Yoga, is Nishkam Karma. It is more selfless, it is more for the benefit of the society at large, rather than doing it just for our own selfish purpose. So let us just get the perspective. Second Adhyaya is the Sankhya Yoga, where the predominant message of the Gnana, the divine knowledge, the Atma Gnana, the self-knowledge, or it's also called the Brahma Gnana, is described. But even then, in the second Adhyaya, Bhagavan talks about Karma Yoga, he talks about the principles of Karma Yoga. So the first 10 shlokas are about Arjuna's justification, why he gets into sorrow, grief, pain, and then finally he accepts, because he's confused, he doesn't know what to do, he accepts to be a disciple of Lord Krishna. And seventh shloka, he accepts Ishyasteham Shadimam Tvam Prapannam. And then Bhagavan starts his message from the 11th to the 30th shloka. He talks about the Atma Gnana, the Atma Anatma Viveka, which is essentially the summary of the Upanishads. And then Bhagavan tells him that based on your own belief, based on your dharma, on your duty, what you need to do, and then talks about the Karma Yoga principles, starting from Esha Te Bhita Sankhye, and then talks about Karmanya Vadikaraste, Yogastha Kuru Karmani, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, Buddhau Sharanam Anvichya. So all the principles of Karma Yoga he talks about in the second Adhyaya. And then he goes on to talk about the attributes of the person who is in firm wisdom, the Sthita Prajna, who is already in that Gnana, who is completely Paripurna. What is his attitudes? what is this, the way he lives in this world. He talks about that. And finally, 71st and the second shloka, he talks about the final goal, the Brahmi Sthiti. So essentially, the third Adhyaya is a more detailed description of Karmayoga. It's a very beautiful Adhyaya because Bhagavan tells us how we need to do our karma, how we need to do our actions. And it starts with Arjuna's question. And it's a very beautiful question because Arjuna is still not very clear. He has heard about Atma Jnana, he's heard about Karmayoga, he's heard about Sita Prajna, but still, what is clear in his mind is that he asks, Jayasi Chet Karmanaste, Bata Buddhir Janardana. He says, Oh Janardana, he addresses Krishna, says, according to you, Jnana is Buddhi, is Jayasi Chet Karmanaste. It is superior to actions, according to you, because Bhagavan first described the Jnana, then described the Karma, and then finally described the Jnana. So obviously, according to the Lord, Arjuna has understood that according to you, Jnana is a Shreshta. It is the best to have this knowledge, this Atma Jnana. But then he says, Tat kim karmani ghore mam. Then why do you impel me? Niyojayasi, O Keshava, why do you impel me into this ghor karma, this gruesome battle of Mahabharata? Why do you want me to fight? You are telling me about Jnana on one side and you are telling me about Tattva Parantapa, or fight this war. So you are giving me conflicting opinions. I am not able to understand. And this shows Arjuna's simplicity. His name itself, Arjunatvat, is Rujutvatvat. That means that Arjuna is a simple person. He shows that he is confused. He shows that he needs help. And this is the strength of the character of Arjuna. And that's why he becomes eligible to listen to this Atma Jnana and this Updesha right from Krishna himself. So he says, Arjuna asks for one solution. He says, Vyamishreneva Bhakyena. Your conflicting words, your contradictory words, Yuddha Karo, Gnan is Shreshta, Yuddha, Gnana, I'm not able to understand. Buddhim Mohaya Sivame. It's conflicting, it's deluding my mind, I'm getting confused. Tat Ekam Badanishchitya. Give me one clear message. He's telling Krishna, tell me one thing. We commonly tell this, don't give me so many advices, just give me one thing, what I need to do. That's how Arjuna is asking Krishna, give me one clear message. Yena Shreya Amapnuyam, with which I will attain Shreya Aham Apnuyam. I can attain that highest good, that most beneficial Pada Shreya. And Arjuna's goal is very clear. He wants Shreya. He does not want Preya. So Shreya is the transcendence beyond the worldly, all the worldly gunas. And Preya means all the worldly ambitions are called Preya. So there are two types of goals in life. We may have worldly goals or we may have spiritual goals which transcends the worldly goals. Similarly, Arjuna is very clear. He wants Shreya. He says, I want Shreya. Please tell me one thing with which I can attain that highest Pada, Shreya Pada. So, Bhagavan answers Shree Krishna, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. He shows him two paths. He says, Lokesmin Dvividha Nishtha Pura Prokta Maya Nagha. He says, in this world, I have already described two committed lifestyle approaches. Lokesmin Dvividha Nishtha. Two types of Nishtha. The two types of committed lifestyles I have already. He says, Pura Prokta. Long ago I have said this. And this has been said much earlier. Hey Anaga. Anaga is, O sinless Arjuna. Gnana Yogena Sankhya. For the people who want to pursue knowledge seeking yogis, for them it is a pursuit of knowledge. That is a Gnana Yoga Nishtha. Karmayogena Yoginam. For the people who are action oriented, those who are always attached, committed to actions, those who want to do actions only, for them Karma Yoga. I've already shown that these are the two paths to attain the divine. And Bhagavan tells Arjuna to choose one path based on your eligibility. He gives a choice to Arjuna, and that is the beauty of our scriptures. Our scriptures never tell us do this or do that. It says that there are several ways of attaining the divine. You choose the one that is best you are suitable for, and gives us the choice according to our own dispositions, according to our own inclinations, according to our own eligibility. Scriptures tell us to choose our path, what path you want to take to attain the divine. So most of us are committed to actions. We are karmanishta. And when we become a sadhaka means we become a jignasu or a inquisitive, we want to attain something higher, then we need to use our viveka, our buddhi, our intellect, which is given the highest preponderance in our scriptures, that viveka is the most important. From there, we start our adhyatmik yatra. We have to choose the path we want to take based on our own eligibility. When we do this journey, sadhana, we have to choose the Karma Yoga Nishtha or Jnana Yoga Nishtha. Bhagavan says two paths here. he does not still tell Arjuna which path, how you select based on what kind of dispositions you have. That he talks in the 6th Adhyaya, which makes it very clear. Arurukshor mune yogam karma karana uchyate yogarudasta. For them, shamah karana uchyate, he says. And there he makes it very clear that, for whom karma yoga, for whom gnana yoga is important, nishtha. But here he's telling Arjuna that there are two paths. Essentially, most of us are eligible for karma yoga because we are all attached to actions, its results. And that's why that is the way we can attain Shuddhi. Essentially, it is important to understand that these are not two different paths. They are the same path, but after karma yoga and purity, we have to go to the path of knowledge. That is the final way how we can attain the divinity, the Atma Gnana, the Brahma Gnana, which is the goal, which is the ultimate goal. The Gnana Nishtha is the ultimate goal, and that is only possible by this Gnana Sadhana, the knowledge journey, which requires Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. So essentially, from Karma Yoga Nishtha, we have to go to Gnana Yoga Nishtha, and then we have to reach our goal. And this is the way which Bhagavan makes it very clear. Though he says there are two paths, but essentially both of them are connected. It is just one highway. There are many paths to reach this Gnana Yoga Nishtha, from where we can reach the Gnana Nishtha. And then in the next shloka, Bhagavan says that giving up actions, you will never achieve your goal. Hey Arjuna, he says, na karmana manaramba, naishkarmyam purusho shruta. Just by renouncing the karma, actions, karma tyaga, just by being lazy, but just by not doing any karma, just by not doing your own duties, one cannot achieve naishkarmya. Naishkarmyam here means moksha. It means actionlessness. That state of where you don't need to do any actions, that state you cannot reach, that is a final goal. Nacha sanyasanadeva. And just by renouncing the life or the householders or the people or your family or attachments, karma sannyasa, which is called, also he says, siddhim samadhigacchati. One cannot achieve the highest accomplishment, the highest goal, which is of course the moksha pada. And that's why Bhagavan is very clearly saying here that without karma there is no other option. Just by doing karma tyaga or doing karma sannyasa, both of these does not lead to final goal. Ultimately, the final goal is only by gnana sadhana. And for gnana sadhana, we have to become eligible for gnana sadhana. For that, karma yoga is the main sadhana. And ultimately, even after karma sannyasa, people have to pursue gnana sadhana. Only then they can achieve their final goal, even after karma sannyasa. So that's what Bhagavan makes it very clear. And then Bhagavan says that without actions, nobody can live, nobody can survive for even a moment, Bhagavan says, and also gives a reason why. He says, nahi kaschit kshanamapi, not for a moment. Jatu tishtatya karma kruta. Akarma kruta, without performing actions, nobody can survive, tishtati, even for a kshanamapi, even for a moment, he says. And that is, there is no doubt about it. He says, nahi kaschit, there is no doubt that one cannot live. And why he says, karyate yavasha karma, sarva prakriti jai gunahi. These three gunas of the prakriti, the sattva, rajas and tamas, these are the three which will avasha, will force the person. He becomes helpless. That karyate, he will have to do action. Even if he doesn't want to do action, suddenly that force, that thought, that because of the raja guna, pradhana, tama pradhana, purusha, this will all force us into action. So action is the most important field for us. And that is the best way we can elevate ourselves, by knowing, understanding how we need to do our actions. But the main problems here, Bhagavan is now showing us a raga, dvesha, which are main initiators of our action, because they work through these three gunas. So Bhagavan is in the next shloka telling us what we need not do, what should not do. Hypocrisy, something that Bhagavan doesn't like. It says karmendriyani sanyamya. One who controls his karmendriya, all the sense organs of actions, the heart, the speech, the mouth, all these, and they are the 5 karmendriyas in our jiva. So controlling them, so being lazy, ya aste manasasmaran, by continuing thinking of these sense objects in our mind, indriyarthan vimudhatma, that person is the biggest fool, he says, vimud, that person is a big fool. He is doing mithyachara sa uchyate, that is also called, constitutes false conduct. It is mithyachara. It is hypocrisy, just by giving up actions, but then continuing that in our mind, thinking about the sense objects. This shows that we are a showman. We want to show that we are not doing actions. We are a karma yogi. but then, or we are not a sansari, but then we don't have that kind of a sense control or mind control, and that signifies our ahankara, our pride, our kartrutva very strong, and that is something that Bhagavan does not want us to do. What he wants us to do is karma yoga. Bhagavan is saying how he wants us to do karma yoga, our actions. He says, Yas twindriyani manasa, by niyamyar rabate Arjuna. Hey Arjuna, one who controls all the sense organs with the mind, with manasa, with mind, yes, twindriya, all the indriyas, and karmendriyahi, karma yoga, and starts all the actions with the karmendriya. Karmendriya does all the actions, what is needed to be done, all the duties, all the actions is done with control of indriya sanyama. Asaktaha, without attachment. Savishishyate, that person is a unique person, he is a special person, that is a karma yogi. Bhagavan tells us how to do karma yoga. Karmendriya, we need to do our actions with indriya sanyam, with mana control, asaktaha, without attachment, and that is what is karma yoga according to the Lord. So asaktaha, unattached, means not being attached to our raga, dvesha. The strong likes and dislikes are the root of all the problems. This is a central theme of Geeta ji. And even in the second Adhyaya, third Adhyaya, fourth Adhyaya, Bhagavan talks about this in several areas. Raga means that pleasant experience, sukha vritti. We like it, and that's why we want it again and again. We develop an attachment to it, and this springs desires. It makes us greedy for having it all the time. Dvesha means an unpleasant experience. When the senses come in contact with objects, an unpleasant experience. Dukha vritti, which causes repulsion, which does not want pravritti, but then if it is suppressed, then it causes anger or even violence. And these raga, dvesha, they stay in a very dormant state in our mind, and it is only the senses, the indriya, when they come in contact with the objects, the sense objects, they arouse this raga, dvesha, and this creates sanskaras which remain there. And the next time when we see this particular thing, or we hear, or all this, when sense organs come in contact with the objects, then the sanskaras get again activated, and then we respond accordingly. But the mind of the wise person is like a mirror, because there are no impressions. The raga, dvesha are completely nullified, and that's why these impressions or sanskaras don't form, and that's why they are able to respond in a very, very kind of a, without getting much attachment. So only karma yoga can nullify this raga, dvesha, and that's why karma yoga is a very, very important first step in the spiritual journey. In the next 8 shlokas, Bhagavan describes 4 different attitudes of karma yoga, how we need to do karma yoga with attitude of duty, attitude of yagna, attitude of prasad, and a cosmic cycle, how we can contribute to this cosmic cycle of Srishti Chakra. So let us see the first attitude. Bhagavan says, Niyatam kuru karmatvam. Do your karma as a niyata karma, as is prescribed for you as per your duty, according to all your roles that has been given to you in your life. You do your karma in the best possible way. Bhagavan says, Karma jayo ya karmanaha. Because action is superior to inaction. Don't be lazy. Don't try to evade your goals. Don't try to postpone your work. Try to do it in the best possible way for the duties and the roles that you have been given. Sharira yatra pichate na prasiddhyeda akarmanaha. Even Bhagavan says, one person who does not perform any action, akarmani, for them even sharira yatra, the journey of life also na prasiddhyeda, will not be fulfilled. And that's why karma is the most important. Don't be in akarma, get in karma, get in action, do your duties well. And now in the next attitude, Bhagavan describes how we have to do our duty, with what kind of buddhi, with what kind of understanding we need to do our duty. The second attitude Bhagavan describes is yagna buddhi. Yagnarthati karmano niyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. Actions which are performed without the attitude of yagna, they cause bondage in this world for people, Bhagavan says. So yagna buddhi is something, yagna is very new for us, because in today's world we don't do yagnas much, but yagnas were a part and parcel of the Vedic times, where a lot of sacrificial fire was created, and according to the vidhi, according to the rituals, the offerings, ahuti, were given in the agni, the fire, and this ahutis used to be carried to those particular devatas, and this was given with the prayers, with the chanting of the shlokas, the divine shlokas were chanted, and this was a kind of a ritual which was done for many, many things. So this yagna buddhi is like giving ahuti, it's like offering something as a prayer, with the prayer, and without being affected by the result. of what we'll get. So that is a selfless kind of an action. That is what is called as a yagna buddhi. So Bhagavan says here, tadartham karma kaunteya. Tadartham means do it as an offering to Ishvara, as if you are doing yagna, as if you are giving, as if you are offering, as if you are praying. Do all your karmas accordingly with prayers, as an offering to the Ishwar. Mukta sangha, without getting attached to the results of the actions. Samyak acharaha, samacharaha, means that do your karmas in the very, very best possible way, with complete awareness, with complete dedication. So Bhagavan is telling Arjuna how we need to do our karmas. Arjuna must have thought, how this yagna buddhi, how does it come suddenly? And Bhagavan says it is nothing new. It has been there since the creation began. Saha yagna praja sruštva purovacha prajapati. When the universe was created, it was created along with all these yagnas. And Brahmaji at that time, Prajapati had said, Puraha Uvacha, at that time Brahmaji had said, Anena prasabhishyadvam eshavostvishta kamaduka. Means all of you should attain your growth, prosperity, and yagnas will grant you all your desired wishes, like a kamadhenu, guy, the cow, which is named Kamaduka. Kamadhenu gives all the desired fruits. Whatever you desire, Kamadhenu will give. Similarly, all these yagnas will also give you everything that you desire. And this has been, since the Srushti or the creation developed, these yagnas have been there with this, and Brahmaji had said this at the beginning. Bhagavan says, how karmas can give us all, fulfill our desires? Arjuna must have thought, and Bhagavan is giving the answer. Bhagavan says, Devan bhavayatanena te deva bhavayantuvaha. So you please the devas and by yagna, and they will give you the returns. With the yagna, you offer all the sacrificial ahutis to the devtas. They will become happy, and those devtas, when they become happy, they will also give you whatever you desire. And parasparam bhavayantaha shreya paramavapsata. By making each other happy, propitious, you will achieve your final goal. And this is how you should do your karma, Bhagavan says. So essentially, karma is done for the purity of the mind, so that we can achieve or understand the Atma Jnana or knowledge leading to freedom or moksha. But then Bhagavan is telling us not to become selfish, because being selfish, there is no upliftment. He says, Ishtan bhogan hivo deva dasyante yagna bhavitaha. Devtas, those who have been delighted by these yagnas, they will give you the fruits that you desire. Tairdattana pradayebhyo yo bhumte stena evasaha. Those fruits, if we bhumte, bhoga, if we enjoy without sharing, then that person is a stena, is only a thief, evasaha. Because thieves only keep stealing. They want to take everything. They don't want to give anything. And Bhagavan says, don't be like a thief. Don't just keep taking, possessing from this Srushti. Just try to give something. Give and take is always a better than just keep taking from this Srushti chakra. So Bhagavan is telling us not to be selfish, not to just keep taking, accepting, but try to give also. And the third attitude Bhagavan is showing, the prasada buddhi. Yagna shishta shinah santo muchyante sarva kilbishaihi. So whatever remains after yagna, and that is like a prasada. So great man, the santaha, who eats this, muchyante sarva kilbishaihi, all his sins are relieved. Bhunjate te tvagam papa. But those sinful people who cook only for themselves and they eat only themselves, means those who are selfish, they work for themselves, they just bhoga for themselves, they eat only sins, they eat only sins, papa, and those are the people. Selfishness is not a good thing. Bhagavan does not like that. He wants us to become selfless, to give as much as we can. And then Bhagavan is showing us the final attitude of Karmayoga, the Srushti Chakra, Dharma Buddhi, and is showing us the cosmic cycle. Annad bhavanti bhutani. All the beings are born from food, because food is the one that nurtures us so that we can live. Parjanyat anna sambhava. And food is produced by the rains. We know that food is produced by the rains. Yagnat bhavati parjanyo. Rain is created by yagna. Yes, normal rains will be created, but special rains can be created by specific yagnas, vidhi. And yagna, karma samudbhava. Yagnas are all performed by our actions, our karma. And Bhagavan continues to show us this cosmic cycle, that all the karma is done. Karma brahmodbhavam vidhi. Here the word Brahma means Vedas. Karma is done according to all the Vedas. Brahmakshara samudbhavam. Vedas are created by Brahma, the eternal Ishvara. Tasmat sarvagatam Brahma. Therefore, the omnipresent Brahma, Nityam Yagne Pratishtitam, is firmly rooted in Yagna. So Yagna and Brahma, they are all the same. Bhagavan is going to tell us in the fourth Adhyaya also, Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavihi, Brahmagno, Brahmanautam, Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. So Yagna and Ishvara are the same. Bhagavan, in the eyes of the Lord, all the things that is in the Yagna is the part of Brahma. It is Ishvara, and that's how we should do our actions. And that's why Bhagavan wants us to contribute to this universal harmony. And if we don't do it, we don't contribute to this Shrishti Chakra. What is our life? He says, Evam Pravartitam Chakram. This is a cosmic wheel that is going on, Nanu Avartaya Tihayaha, which is going on since ages. And one who does not perform his duties accordingly, does not contribute to this, Aghayu Indriyaramu, who is only pursuing his or her own sense organs, then Mogam Parthasa Jivati, his life or her life is useless, it's a waste, because we do not achieve our goal as a human being, what we are given, what we can achieve, that highest goal we are unable to achieve if we keep living in our own raga, dvesha, in our own life, being selfish in our own world. We are not aware about what is happening in the universe. And then Bhagavan is telling Arjuna must have thought, okay, I can do this karma, but how long do I need to do this karma? And Bhagavan is telling Arjuna that you need to perform this yagna till you get this wise knowledge. Bhagavan says, Yaswat, but that wise person who is Atmarati, Atmatruptaha and Atmasantushtaha, these three Bhagavan shows that one who is completely contented in his own self, that person is a Sthita Prajna, that wise person. For this person, there is no duty, there is no work to be performed. So that is the limit from where the Karmayoga ends. For the wise person who is firmly rooted in wisdom, even in Sthita Prajna Prakaran, Bhagavan says, Atmanyeva Atmana Tushtaha Sthita Prajnaste Dauchyate. So Atmani Eva Atmana Tushta, one is satisfied completely in the own self, does not seek outside pleasures, object or sense pleasures. For that person is completely a Sthita Prajna. And for that person, there is no karma, there is no vidhi, there is no nishedh, there is no action, there is no karma yoga to be performed. In the next shloka, Bhagavan talks about the wise person, that the wise person has no motive in action or in inaction. Naiva tasya krute nartho, na krute neha kaschana. Wise does not have any purpose or any motive to do actions, nor does he have any purpose not to do any actions. He may be in kriya or akriya, but there is no purpose, there is no selfish motive for that person. Nachasya sarva bhuteshu kaschid artha vyapashraya. In this world, living with all the beings, does not have any selfish motive to acquire any artha, any objects. And that wise person may be pursuing work or may not be pursuing work, maybe in pravrutti, maybe in nivrutti, but there is no selfish motive for the wise. And that's why Bhagavan says, Tasmat asakta satatam. That's why he says, do your karma yoga to attain the final goal. Do your karma without being attached. Asakta, satatam, always, ever being attached. Bhagavan says, Karyam karma samachara. Do your duty, your kartavya karma, samyak acharaha, in the best possible manner, best possible way. Asaktaha hi acharan karma. When you perform, keeps on doing these actions without attachment, param apnoti purushaha, attains, those humans attain the highest goal of life. For a bhakta, that goal will be Paramatma Prapti. For a jignasu, for a sadhaka, it will be moksha, that is the freedom from all these limitations of ourselves. And this is only possible by karma yoga. And how karma yoga leads to the final goal is by purity of mind, and ultimately then makes us eligible for Atma Jnana, leading to moksha. And when Arjuna is hearing this, he knows asaktaha. And what Bhagavan is repeatedly telling us, that we have to, without attachment, karma is something, it is our nature. So we are always attached to our karmas, and that is the place where we need to do our karmas. We don't have to leave karma. Bhagavan is very clearly showing us. What we need to leave, or what we need not to get attached to, is karma tyaga. We don't have to do karma tyaga. We don't have to get attached to karma tyaga. Bhagavan, scriptures never tell us to leave karma. They only permit us, just like a fruit, when it matures, it falls off, it ripens, it falls off on its own. Similarly, karma, when our mind becomes matured, will fall off on its own. Bhagavan also tells us not to be attached to karma phala. Let go of the attachment to the results or the fruits of the action. Karma phala tyaga is the one thing that we need to do. And finally, kartrutva tyaga, of our pride, our ahankar, our ego, our doership, our feeling. This is the final through which we are doing all the tyaga, that I am doing karma tyaga, I am doing karma phala tyaga, all this I, this kartrutva, that strong kartrutva that we have associated with. Finally, we have to let go of this to get the jnana, and then this is the way we have to do our karma yoga. So after listening this, Arjuna must have thought how karma yoga can lead to moksha. Bhagavan, you are telling me do your karma yoga and it will lead to moksha. And can you give me some examples? And Bhagavan is giving him some examples. Bhagavan says, Karmanaiva hi sansiddhim astita Janakadaya. Janaka Adi and others, other kings, many other kings reached their final goal, sansiddhim astitaha. Only Karmanaiva hi, only with karma, without any attachment, by doing karma yoga, they could reach their final goal. Loka sangraha aham ev api sampashyan kartum arhasi. Bhagavan says, even if you see the welfare of the people at large, it is the best interest for you to do karma, not just for your selfish self, but for the welfare of the people at large. You do karma, and this is the way you will lead to moksha. And Bhagavan shows him, gives him examples of other great people, how people follow the great people, and how people copy others. Yadyadacharati shreshtaha tat devetaro janaha. Whatever is the most honorable or the shreshta people or most respectable people do, other people also follow the same. Sayat pramanam kurute, they set an example for others. Lokastadanu vartate, all other human beings follow them. So Bhagavan is telling us that great people have a very big, high responsibility. The leaders in the society have a great responsibility because other people, the followers, are looking up to them and they try to copy the leaders. And that's why, Arjuna, you are the leader, you are the ace archer. You have to set an example, you have to do your duty, you have to do the best actions, whatever is needed from you. And Bhagavan, then Shree Krishna, Lord God himself, shows his own example. He says, Name parthasti kartavyam drishu lokeshu kinchana. Oh Arjuna, I don't have any job, any duty to do in these three worlds. Bhagavan is showing his own paripurna, sarvagna, atma swarupa. Bhagavan is full of knowledge. He says, I don't have to do nana aptavyam. Bhagavan says, I don't have anything to acquire, I don't have anything to give away. Varta eva chakarmani, but still I am in action. I have to remain in action because I have to set an example for others. If I, because of my paripurna jnana knowledge, I don't do actions, I don't do my duties, then others will also follow accordingly. So even being an incarnate of the Lord himself, Bhagavan, karma is essential for them. Karma phala is something that they, even incarnate Bhagavan, cannot escape. And that is what Bhagavan is trying to explain, Arjuna, that even see me, that even though I am the Lord and I have been incarnated on this world, I have assumed a form, but still I have to do my karma. Shree Krishna's life itself, right from his birth to his leaving his body, till that time, Bhagavan was always in karma. And that's why karma is so very important. And Bhagavan says, Yadi aham na vartyam. If I don't follow this path, I don't do my actions, I don't do karma, jatu karmanya tandrita, I must be doing it with awareness. Atandrita means atandra, with a lot of awareness. If I don't do this karma with awareness, Bhagavan says, Mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvasha. All human beings who will follow, on all respects, they will follow my path. And that's why Bhagavan says, I have to set an example by our own action. Similarly, Arjuna, you also have to set this example by your own actions. And what will happen, Bhagavan says, if I don't do my action, he says, my inaction will destroy the social order. He says, Utside yurime lokana kuryam karma chedaham. If I don't perform these actions, then all these people will be ruined. Utside, they'll all be ruined. And sankarasya chakartasyam upahanya mima prajaha. And I shall be responsible for this mixed race, Sankara, Praja, he says, and for destroying the social order of people. When Arjuna, in his first Adhyaya, in the later part, he had said, Varna Sankara, if I do my actions and I kill all my relatives, I will create Varna Sankara, that is this mixed race. Bhagavan here is telling Arjuna, giving him a completely different perspective. He says, if you don't act properly, then you will create Varna Sankara, a mixed race, and that's why you have to do your duty, you have to do your dharma, you have to do your karma. And how does a wise person work outwardly? And Bhagavan shows here how they should work. Outwardly, the wise will work just like an unwise works with attachment. From the outside, you cannot make a difference. Sakta karmanya vidvan so yatha kurvanti bharata. Hey Bharata, oh Arjuna, just as the ignorant person works with a lot of attachment, complete attachment, they will keep doing it from morning till evening. A wise person, Puryan Vidvans Tathasakta, a wise person who is unattached, should also work Chikirsu Loka Sangram for the betterment of humanity at large. So from outside, you will not be able to judge whether what is the attitude of that person from inside, what is attachment to the results of that person from inside. You will not come to know who is a wise, who is unwise from outside. It is all in the mind. That's why you need to understand this, how that person is attached or not. And then Bhagavan says how the wise person will inspire everyone, will not shatter the faith of the ignorant. Nabuddhi bedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam. So the wise person should not shatter the faith or destroy the faith of the ignorant person who are into action. Why should not say, why are you into action? You should go for jnana. You don't need to do your action. That's why they should not shatter the faith. Their faith is in karma. Let them be to Karmayoga and let them go further and uplift themselves. Joshayet sarva karmani vidwan yukta samacharan. That wise person, by his or her own moral conduct and work, should inspire everyone into action. Our own actions should become like examples for the others to follow. That is what. And then Bhagavan is telling Arjuna the statement of fact. He says, Prakrute kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha. All the actions are performed within the three gunas of nature, sattva, rajas and tamas. And Bhagavan says, what is the difference between the unwise and the wise? What is their vision? How it is different, their attitude? Ahankara vimudhatma. That person who is unable to think wisely, a viveki, ahankari, vimudhatma, that fool, karta hamiti manyata, identifies with his own body, mind and sense complex and believes that I am the doer. That is the avivek, ahankara, gnana that this person has. And this is because of the identification of this limited identification with this self, that I am this body, I am this mind. And with this identification, we have ahankara and we believe that I am the doer of this action. And in the next shloka, Bhagavan tells us what is the understanding of that learned, wise person, the tattvavita. Tattvavittu mahabaho. One who knows this tattva well, guna karma vibhagayo. That person understands what is that mahabaho. Mahabaho, that is a salute to Arjuna, understands the division of the guna, karma, vibhaga, knows that guna guneshu vartanta. When karma is done, one guna, the karmendriya, pravrutsa, that vartanta means they operate within the another guna, that is the object. One object, or suppose we lift a ball with our hand, then one guna, that karmendriya is working with another guna. Both are gunas. These are the both guna, karma, vibhaga. This is all the anatma kshetra. This is what is the understanding of the wise. And by knowing this very clearly, that this is what is happening in the anatma, I am the atma, I am the akarta swarupa, I does not get attached. And this is the understanding of the wise person. Bhagavan says tattva. Tattvavit, when Bhagavan says tattva is something that is the one basis, that adhisthana of everything, which there is no identification. It is anaropitakara. There is no identification on this. It is unlimited. It is sarva vyapak. And this is the basis of everything. That one tattva, Bhagavan understands, is saying that what is the understanding of the wise person. And again, Bhagavan is showing the difference of vision between the wise and the unwise by using different words here. He uses the word akritsnavit. A person who has incomplete knowledge, akritsnavit, who is deluded in these gunas of the nature, does not understand who is Atma, what is Anatma, everything is mixed, aviveki, and that person gets attached to all this guna, karma, and that's why I understand that I am the doer. But the one who knows completely, who is kritsnavit, who understands the difference between Atma and Anatma very clearly, should not, akritsnavit, na vichalayet, should not astray others from the path. Those who are aviveki should not shatter the faith, should not lead them to astray from this path. And the wise person, Kritsnavit, is the person who knows that there is only one Adhishtan Tattva behind all the Jiva, Jagata and the Ishvara. Everything is just one. Only what all we see is all the Pratiti Matra. It is all, it's all transient, it is all seen. And beyond that is the unseen, which is the Adhisthana, which is the reality, which is the truth of the existence. That is understanding the wise person. And that's why Bhagavan tells Arjuna, Mai Sarvani Karmani, how you should do your selfless Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga. Bhagavan tells Arjuna, surrender all your actions to me. Adhyatma Chetasa, do your journey with the spiritually awakened mind, not just understanding that, without aviveka, do with viveka, with the understanding that there is a Adhyatma, that is a spirit beyond all this that is seen, what all the guna, karma, vibhaga, nirashihi bhutva, without the expectation of the results, without the karma phala, nirmamaha, without letting go of the attachments, desires, the raga, yuddhasva vigatachvaraha, doing our duties without utmost despise or dvesha, without anger, violence, without all this, we have to do our duties, and that is what Bhagavan says is Karma Yoga. So, what is the benefit of following this path that Bhagavan has shown? Bhagavan says, Yeme matamidam nityam anutishtanti manavaha. Those people who follow this path of Karma Yoga that Bhagavan has shown, Shraddhavantaha, with faith in the scriptures, in the Ishvara and in the Guru, Anasuyantaha, means without blame, dosh buddhi, in the scriptures or in the Guru, they are tepi muchyante karma bihi. They are also liberated from karma. So Karma Yoga, by leading to purity, leads to jnana and moksha. And those who do not follow this path of Karma Yoga, what happens to them? Ye tvadatabhyasuyantaha. Those who keep blaming, nanutishtanti me matam, do not follow the path which I have shown, sarva jnana vimudhanstan. All their knowledge is filled with delusion, viddhi nashtana achetasaha. They know that they are all ruined. That nashta means they are all destroyed. It is not destruction in physical terms, but essentially we are not able to reach or achieve our ultimate goal of human life, and that's why it's a ruining from our goal. And that's why Bhagavan says one who does not do the Karma Yoga but only remains in the bhoga, all the sense pleasures, and does not understand this Karma Yoga, does not do it, does not practice this, will not achieve any goal that human beings are given for. And then Bhagavan makes a very bold statement which needs to be understood properly. He says, all of us, all of you, all the beings, human beings, that behave according to their nature. Bhagavan says, Sadarsham cheshtate swasyaha prakrute jnanamanapi. Everybody acts according to their own nature, according to their own prakriti. Even a thoughtful person, jnanavanapi, even a thoughtful person, a seeker also behaves according to his own nature. Prakrutim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati. So all beings, they yield to their nature. Then what is the purpose of sense control? How and why we should do any sense control? Because if all of us are working just about from our nature, then what is the purpose of doing any kind of a sense control, mind control? How does it work? And this shloka, if it is seen in isolation, it can be misinterpreted completely. It may show that, there is no need for any self-control, or indriya sanyama, manas sanyama is not needed. But we need to understand, look at the next shloka, what Bhagavan says, where we need to control, what we need to control. Bhagavan says that the control where you need is this raga dvesha. And these are the areas that we need to be aware about. Bhagavan says, indriyasya indriyasya arte, raga dveshau vyavastitau. In each object of the sense organs, indriyasya arthaha, means within each indriya and objects, the vishaya of each of these indriya, artha, objects. There are 5 gnanendriyas, shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha. These are the 5 objects, the 5 gnanendriyas. And in each of them, there are these strong likes and dislikes, raga, dvesha, vyavastitau. They are firmly rooted. Tayorna vashamagachet. Bhagavan says, don't get under that influence. They are the ones, tauhyasya paripantino. They are the biggest obstacles on your spiritual journey, because these work very, they are vyavastito. They are firmly rooted. They are very stubborn. They are very hidden. They are not even seen. We don't become aware about it unless we are on this spiritual path. Then we understand what are these raga, dvesha. Otherwise, we don't even understand how we operate and how we keep responding without our understanding. So normally how our response is determined, how our behavior, our response is determined, normally is through our raga, dvesha, our strong likes and dislikes. And that's why I want to do what I like and I don't want to do what I don't like. We all have our own likes, dislikes. From there, our scriptures tell us to work according to dharma, adharma, according to our morals, our values, which has been shown in our scriptures. What is the right thing to do? I should do what is the good thing to do, what is the right thing to do, and vice versa. I should not do what is not the right thing to do. That is dharma, adharma, viveka. And all these, our journey of spiritual progress in life is to soften or nullify the grip, this grip, a strong grip of raga, dvesha, our strong likes and dislikes, which keeps us unconsciously, responding. And this softening of raga, dvesha itself is purification of our mind, and this is the job of Karma Yoga. This is a central job of Karma Yoga, to purify us and then make us eligible to understand this divine knowledge, this Atma Jnana. And here, this is the place where we need a lot of awareness and we need to use our own efforts, our purushartha, because this is not the area of destiny. Bhagavan is very clearly showing tayorna vashamagachet. You don't come under the influence of this. This is the area where this is the area of my free will. I have to remember this, that this is the area, this is not the area of my destiny, but I need to work, I need to be aware, I need to keep my goals while taking all these decisions, and I must use my intellect so that whenever desires arise, I must give it a thought before I respond. And we must learn to see the other side of the view, what is called as the Samagra Darshana, the 360-degree view, because there are two sides of the coin, we know that, and we generally try to label it as good and the bad, and that's how we, work accordingly. And then Bhagavan tells us to develop an attitude of an overall vision where we can see from all the sides, we can see from the long-term perspective that what is good for me, what is not good for me. Say, for example, a smoker who is a smoker, for him or her, when the cigarette comes in front of it, they only see the short-term joy that they will get. If they are going to see the long-term pain that is going to happen, then probably they will not consume this cigarette, because if we see the health hazards that can happen. So this is how we need to change our vision. That is what Bhagavan is trying to tell us, and daily introspection is a very, very effective tool. And Bhagavan is telling us to do our actions according to our duty, dharma, shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharmat swanushthitat. My duty is the best, shreyan swadharma vigunaha, even if it is imperfect, paradharmat swanushthitat. It is definitely better than following others else's duty. Bhagavan is telling us, don't compare, don't compete with others, just don't do that. Just look at your own self, compete with yourself. Your duty is the best. Whatever you are given, your life is the best, whatever you are given. And swadharme nidharam shreya, that is even better than in our own duty. For soldiers and others who are on the border, death while performing their duty is respected for them. Paradharmo bhayavaha. It is dangerous to follow others' duty. Don't run away from this battlefield. Don't try to see what others are doing. Try to follow what is your duty and do your best. So we need to focus on our responsibilities, not on our rights, because rights are the ones that create a lot of friction and create lots of problems. So after hearing all this, Arjuna again has a question that yes, Bhagavana, it is right, Swadharma is the Shrestha, I should do my duty. But then there is some force which is trying to impel me into doing something that I don't want to do. And what is that force, Bhagavan? I want to know. He asks a question to Lord Arjuna, to Lord Krishna. Athakena prayuktoyam papam charati purusha. What is that force that impels a person against his or her own wish, but by force? Anichannapi Vashneya. Vashneya is Krishna. Oh, Vrishnikul, oh, one who is born in the Vrishni dynasty. Anichannapi. Even without my ichcha, even without my desire, but by force, baladiva. By force, I am drawn into niyojitaha. I am drawn into committing this sin, this papa. What is that force? I want to do swadharma, but I am not able to do. I want to change. I know where I need to change, but somehow we are just sometimes lazy. We don't have that will. We don't have that strength. And there is some force which does not allow us to change. The same problem happened with Duryodhana. He says, Janami dharmam nachame pravrutti. I know what is dharma. I know what is the right thing to do, but I am not able to do that. Janami adharmam nachame nivrutti. Even I know what is not the right thing to do, but even then I am compelled to do this. So that is the that force is there, something that does not allow me to do what I really want to do, what is good for me. And Arjuna asked Krishna, what is that force? Athakena prayuktam papam charati purusha. What is that force that forces me against my will to go into this? So Shri Bhagavana Uvacha, Bhagavan answers to the question of Arjuna that what is that force? Bhagavan says, these desires and this anger are the main cause of all the sins. It says, Kama esha, Krodha esha, Rajo guna, Samudbhavaha. These desires, esha, means this, that what you can feel it, you can perceive it when it comes up, this anger, this emotion, this desire, which arises, Rajoguna Samudva, which arises out of the Rajaguna, Mahashano. Mahashana means they eat like a glutton. They keep eating, means they are insatiable. They just, you satisfy one, other one springs. Mahapapma, they are the cause for great sins. They make us not do something which we never want to do. Sometimes anger, violence, speaking something, destroying others, and a lot of things. Vidhyena miha vairinam. Know that these are your main enemies. Bhagavan is telling Arjuna, it's through Arjuna, is trying to tell all of us that these desires and this anger are the main cause of all the sins, Bhagavan says. And then in the next shloka it says how the self-knowledge, the Atmajnana, is concealed by these desires. He says, and it gives 3 examples. Yatha dhumena banhi, as the smoke conceals a fire, as the dirt conceals the image in the mirror. Something like, a lot of dirt or fogging on the lens of the spectacles conceals what we see. And just as a womb conceals a fetus, similarly, Bhagavan says, similarly, these desires conceal the self-knowledge, and this Atmajnana is concealed by desires. Vedanta itself tells us that the Agnan hides the Gnana. And here Bhagavan also shows the same thing, that the darkness of this fire, if the darkness goes away, then the light of the smoke is already there. We can see the fire. If the smoke goes away, we can see the fire. Similarly, if you clean the dirt, the image is always clear. And similarly, when the fetus is born, when the womb is no more there, one can see the fetus very clearly. So this is how the darkness hides the light. And to understand the light, we need to just remove the darkness. We just need to take away the Ajnana. And that is the basis of Vedanta, how we need to get over our Ajnana, and then the light of the knowledge is there to see us. So spiritual journey is essentially in 2 steps. One is the purification of our mind, all our tamasic, rajasic tendencies. We need to go towards sattvika tendencies. Bhagavan is going to talk about this in much more details in the 14th Adhyaya. And then when we reach to the sattvic, or the purification of the mind, all our tendencies, then we have to transcend all these 3 gunas. Bhagavan has already said, Nistrai Gunyo Bhavarjuna. We have to transcend, and then we have to understand this divine knowledge, this Atmajnana, and which leads to moksha. And these desires, again, Bhagavan is telling us that they hide our true self. Avruttam gnanametena gnanino nityavarina. It is only through these desires that the true knowledge remains concealed. And know that nityavarina, these are all your enemies. Kama rupena kaunteya ho kuntiputra Arjuna dushpurena analenacha. This, even for a thinker, even for a gnaninaha, a seeker, these are like fire. Dushpurena analenacha. It's like fire. Dushpurena means they never get satisfied. The more you put into it, like a ghee you put into fire, it keeps again flaring up. So similarly, these desires, the moment you satisfy them, the new desires spring up, and these desires have no end. Know that these are your main enemies. Your main enemies are not outside. This Bhishma and Drona are not your main enemies. Your main enemies are inside you. They are right sitting there, and these are the desires that harass us. So if we want to take care of these desires, then we must know where they live, because if they are our enemies, and if we want to strike them, they are the real terrorists. And if we want to do a surgical strike on these desires, we must know where they live. And Bhagavan in the next shloka tells us what is their address. He shows us what is their home. He says, Indriyani mano buddhihi. The desires, they live in the Indriya, the senses, the mind, and the buddhi. Asya Dishtanam Uchyate. This is a place that they work from. This is a place where they live. Etar vimoha yatyesha gnanam avrutya dehinam. From here they delude the mind of the person, and from there they conceal the self-knowledge. And this is where we need to work. So know that this is the place where you have to work. Indriya Mana Buddhi. And next shloka Bhagavan says, Tasmat Tvam Indriyanyadav. That's why he says the first step, he shows Indriya Sanyama is the first step of the spiritual journey, which is called Dhamma. And that's why Bhagavan says Tasmat. First thing that you need to do, Adav, that Indriyani, you have to first control all your Indriya, all your sense organs, all your Pancha Gnanendriya. Niyamya means you need to control, modulate them. And Bharatarshava is the name of Arjuna, who is the best in the Bharata dynasty. Papmanam prajahiyenam. These are the ones that create a lot of sins. You push you to commit into sins. Prajahiyenam. Definitely you must leave them. Gnana Vijnana Nashanam, because they are there to destroy your wisdom, your self-knowledge, and the Gnana and Vijnana, and all your knowledge of the realities and the wisdom, the Atma-Gnana, everything will be lost, because this Indriya Sanyam is the first step, one says. And then Krishna is showing Arjuna the hierarchy of control, how you can control the Indriya through the mind, how you can control the mind through the Buddhi, how you can control the Buddhi through the Saha, that Atma Tattva. It says, Indriyani Paranyahuhu. The senses are superior to the body or all the Vishayas, because they take the knowledge and let it reach to the mind. Mind is superior to the senses because mind is more subtle. It takes the information from all the Pancha Gnanendriyas and then it processes this information. And Bhagavan says, Indriyabhya param manaha. That is, the mind is superior to the senses. Manasastu parabuddhi. The intellect is above the mind, because intellect is the one that takes a decision. It's the decisive power. There are lots of options. The mind gives a lot of options to the buddhi, and buddhi processes this and then gives a decision. So buddhi is param. It is above the mind. And buddhe, yo buddhe, paratastu saha. But above that intellect is that consciousness, that Atma Tattva, that Sarvagna, that knower of the all, that Tattva, which you need to understand, because that will take care of all the problem. That self-knowledge will destroy all this ignorance and it will lead you to the problem is solved. So Bhagavan says, Evam buddhe param buddhva. By this knowledge, by this understanding, the Atma Gnana, which is above the intellect, buddhe param buddhva, which is above the intellect, sanstabhyatmanam atmana. And by controlling your mind and your intellect through, we have to understand the Atma Gnana even through our mind and buddhi. So that is the paradox of Vedanta, how through this limited thing we understand the unlimited, but that is how we have to reach and understand the Gnana. And then through that understanding, we have to controlling our mind and our intellect. Jahi Shatrum Mahabaho, He Mahabaho Arjuna, conquer your enemy. Your biggest enemy is all your desires. And Kama Rupam Durasadam, this Kama, these desires, all they are the biggest enemies. They give you a lot of pain, miseries, and that's why you need to conquer them. And this is only possible by controlling your mind and intellect. And the best way to do it and the most permanent way of doing this is to understand the Atma Gnana. By self-knowledge only you can perish all your desires. But to understand this and to assimilate this in us is not easy. We need to meditate to understand and assimilate this knowledge within us, that Atma Tattva, to understand the complete true self. For this, meditation is very, very important, which Bhagavan is going to talk about in the 6th Adhyaya, which is called Atma Sanyama Yoga or Dhyana Yoga. And the spiritual journey, Bhagavan is showing us what is the hierarchy of control. Atma Tattva, Buddhi can control the mind, mind can control the Indriya, and Indriya can control the Vishaya, because this is how is the level of control. But when we do meditation, what we need to, we have to withdraw our senses from all the Vishayas, outer objects, and put it into the mind. And from mind, we have to go towards our intellect, Buddhi, and finally we have to understand our consciousness, our Atma Tattva. And with this understanding, with this assimilation strongly incorporated in us, we can control all these desires, Kama Rupam. So coming to the end of Karma Yoga, Karma Yoga itself is the first step. And in the eyes of the Lord, Lokasmin Dvividha Nishtha. Bhagavan does not show Trividha Nishtha. In Bhagavad, Bhagavan shows 3 Nishthas, the Karma Yoga, the Bhakti Yoga, and the Gnana Yoga. But here, Bhagavan is showing Karma Yoga and Gnana Yoga. So Bhakti is part and parcel of Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga cannot be done without Bhakti, because understanding the Ishvara Tattva is a part and parcel of Karma Yoga. So Bhakti includes, it's part and parcel of Karma Yoga, where we have to take care of all our Shadaripu, all our 6 enemies, the Raga, Dvesha or Kama, Krodha, Mada, Moha, Matsarya. All these vices need to be taken care by Sadhana Chatushtya Sampatti. And that Sadhana Chatushtya Sampatti is Viveka, Vairagya, Shama, Adi, Shat Sampatti, and Mumuksha. So these are the 4 ways, 4 means how we can take care of all these vices and have Antakarana Shuddhi. Here, Karma Yoga is the one most important step. Bhagavan says the first step in the spiritual journey to achieve the first goal, that is the cleansing of our mind, Antakarana Shuddhi. From there on, the path of knowledge, Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana will take care of our ignorance, our Ajnana, and then we will understand the Atma Swarupa, our real self, our Atma Jnana. All this we have to peel off all the layers, all the kosha, pancha kosha, all these koshas and all these layers. We have to keep peeling them like we peel an onion to reach ultimately to the Atma Jnana, which is the light, which is our real self. That is what Vedanta tells us. So there are several attitudes of Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga itself, this Adhyaya, Bhagavan talks predominantly of karma, but there is some aspect of our Gnani, his state, what is his vision, but that is in very few shlokas. The main predominant is the karma, And in the next Adhyaya, the fourth Adhyaya, Bhagavan is going to talk more about, because that's a Gnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. So he's going to talk about more Gnana and how through Gnana we can achieve Karma Sannyasa. That is what Bhagavan is going to talk about in the fourth Adhyaya. And several attitudes of doing karma, Bhagavan has already shown Ishwararpana Bhava Tatartham Karma Kaunteya. In the 18th Adhyaya, Bhagavan is going to say again, and summarizing Karmayoga again, Sarva Karmana Tam Abhyarcha. Do all your actions surrender to me and to that Tattva, to that Lord. Bhagavan is saying Tam Abhyarcha. And here Bhagavan is saying how we can do our karma to please the Lord, as if it is His order. He has given me this duty, these roles, and I am the nimitta, I am the instrument, I am the trustee of all this, and I must do it accordingly, with that understanding that He is the creator. He has given me this role, He has given me this. I must do it to the best of my abilities, with a dharma buddhi, with upholding all the duties and values that are described in our scriptures. And then finally, when I get the result of the karmas, I must accept it gracefully, like I accept a prasada from the Lord whenever I go to a temple, and I must share this prasada with all others. Whatever remains, I should accept, and I should work like contributing something to this universal Srishti Chakra. So with this, we come to the end of the third Adhyaya, the Karma Yoga. Om Tat Sat Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shree Krishna Arjuna Samvade Karmayogo Nama Tritiyodhyaya Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Ishyami Ma Shuchaha. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parah Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.